This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, folks, we'll start our meeting. Everybody's got their minutes from the last meeting. Is there any discrepancies, omissions, or anything like that you've noticed? If not, I'll call for a motion to accept the minutes as presented from January 12th. Councillor Cowan, seconder Councillor Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move along to number 2, adoption of our agenda for tonight. Everything looks good. Anybody have any questions or anything, or omissions or anything we're missing? Or if not, I'll get someone to make a motion to accept that adoption of the agenda for tonight. Councillor Cowan, Councillor Wright again. Thanks, girls. Call for the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move along to the SMP report. I see our sergeant sitting in the council chambers, so I will turn it over to you, sir.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. I got the report I submitted today to the town. Nothing jumping out really bad, nothing outstanding over the holiday season, and so far into January, it's about the same. Things seem to be moving along okay. We're a couple things that have come up. I've attended a meeting at the Arm of Wallace and then one at the Arm of Sifton. And COVID in Sioux Valley has become a trend, and I think COVID's probably in a few communities, but sticking out there because it's spreading quicker. So either myself or my boss, Steve Sumner, Staff Sergeant Sumner, and Brandon, one of us is on three times a week conference calls with a committee that's Manitoba Health. It's got Red Cross, it's the military, and it's talking about how they're dealing with things up in Fox Lake, up in Nelson House, and all these other places in the north where it was spreading. Everyone's just keeping in the loop there. We haven't had to lay any COVID charges per se on Sioux Valley. One individual was charged because she was drunk in the hospital and coughing on people deliberately saying she had COVID, so she got charged for not wearing a mask. So we're doing that 3 days a week, and the conference calls are Monday, Wednesday, Friday nights, and we're keeping on top of what the trends are and how they're dealing with it. I think they're having resource issues in Sioux Valley with the RHA, and they're trying to achieve compliance. And I was in talks with them for a while. They were wanting to shut the whole place down and help have nobody in, nobody out, but there's a lot of logistics to that, and you can't just shut down 21 Highway. So there's been a lot of work done there that I have nothing to show for. So the new municipal employee will be starting next month, and we'll get that on the go. Constable Combs had transfer planning sent to him from staffing to God's Lake Narrows as well. So we'll see when that happens. Right now, things are really going slowly with transfers. And other than that, we still have a vacancy from Constable Blakely when she left in November. And the staff sergeant and a corporal position is still vacant as well. That's pretty much all I've got. Nothing, we haven't had much in the way of COVID other than the Sioux Valley planning stuff. And yeah, I haven't heard anything else about COVID cops.
No.
Good. Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the sergeant? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask that we.
I think Rhonda has a question, Murray.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Are you getting any complaints about our community violating?
No. We've been getting information from the security guy in Sioux Valley, and I was talking with Chief Bone. They're trying to achieve compliance, and but the reality is when we get a report that someone's not adhering to their COVID isolation or quarantining, we have to make sure that that comes through the health center first, because we have no way of knowing whether or not this person is bound by a quarantine order.
Right.
So it has to go through them and then to us. And sometimes people say stuff and they don't know entirely the facts. So we have that filter in there, thank goodness.
But otherwise, you're not getting complaints about parties and birds or
No.
anything like that.
No, we're not getting any non-compliance complaints. If people are getting together, they're being quiet about it, so that's good.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, everybody satisfied? Can I get a motion then, please, to accept the sergeant's report as presented, please? Councillor Cowan, Councillor Wright, Huey and Dewey, right on. Any more discussion? Councillor Gardner, did you have a question?
He's frozen.
Grant, we can see you, but we can't hear you. Did you have a question or were you just getting ready to vote? All right, Grant's working on his technical support. So anyway, hearing no discussion, I will call for the question. All those in favor? I got a whole bunch of people with no hands up. Okay, opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thanks, Sergeant. Have a warm night.
Will do. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.
Take care.
You too. See ya.
Better be then.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Tina, am I coming through clear? Can I be heard?
You're kind of breaking up a bit at our end.
You're loud enough, but you do break up just every once in a while. We can still
Okay, 'cause-
understand you though.
Okay, because that last motion I called for, there was nobody moved their hands. That's why I was wondering if anybody was hearing what I was saying.
We did, but I think that maybe yours froze if you couldn't see us. I'm just moving the mic up.
Yeah, no, I can see everybody. That's not a problem. All right, well, we'll carry on. Let's do finance. We'll do Town of Virden and Waterworks at the same time. Has anybody got any adverse effects or things against anything that has to be paid? Anything that affects you? If not, I'll call for a motion then that we pay the bills, please. Councillor Cowan, Councillor Wright, any discussion?
Everybody else.
They're just quick.
You just going to the drugstore now?
I have a question on one, if two, it's 00115, or not 0115, where the hell am I? Whoops, pardon my French. 0116. Is that for 2 months, Rhonda, or what is that?
Airport.
That'll be for his additional hours, because we always pay him the same amount every month and then reconcile at the end of the year.
Okay, good. That's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure, so.
Yeah, so that'll be probably his December and then his reconcile, the extras.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, number 5, bylaws. 5.1, fire prevention and emergency services bylaw, bylaw 2787. And Rhonda, I'll turn that over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. We basically just needed to change this bylaw to incorporate the use of medical services. So other than just some little bit of wording in the actual bylaw itself, if you go to Schedule A, emergency services provided by the fire department, there is now a new Z. Medical care is defined under the emergency medical scope of practice, which includes use of AED, oxygen therapy, and airway management. So the reason this was added in is because we do have some of our firefighters with EMT training, and that attend to scenes. So if they get there prior to an actual ambulance or paramedic attending, they can actually provide this medical care ahead of them arriving on scene. Once they arrive on scene, I understand it is then turned over to the actual paramedic on scene then.
Okay. Okay, Councillor Cowan?
We had a meeting last night, Rhonda, with new Schedule B. We've increased the rates in Schedule B.
Yes, and I did get those from Brad today, but didn't have a chance to get back to him because what I got didn't look the same as this. It simply had, where did it go? Because I brought it with me. Give me a minute, please. Okay. Here it is under my laptop. All he had on here was 1 engine, rescue squad 1, squad 2, tanker, RTV, and chief truck, and then firefighters, foam, etc. But he didn't have it broken down, like there's actually 2 engines and 2 rescues. So I had thought at first that he'd only given us the things that applied to Burton, but we do have a squad 1 and a squad 2, so I'm not sure if we have 2 squads in Burton. So,
Well, he did mention that Squad 2 was the new truck for Elkhorn.
okay, so you guys could always give first reading to this bylaw tonight, and then we'll put in the new rates. Or no, you guys already gave, no, you haven't. Give it first reading, and then for the next meeting, we'll have it as amended to reflect the new rates. Does that work?
Yeah. I would make that motion for first reading.
Can we get a seconder for this, please? Carl, do you want to second this one?
You saw the chat.
Yeah, he nodded. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody understand what we're doing?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Whitney, what are we doing, Whit? Are you in favor or no?
Yeah, I am. I don't think you can see me. I think your screen must be freezing.
No, you're froze right now. Well, one of us is froze anyway.
See, we can see Whitney and she's moving.
Yeah.
Okay, so it must be mine.
I
I
think
had
they're telling you to
I
go
had
with that.
something come up here a little while ago and I ignored it, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but anyway, that motion's passed. Rhonda, if you want to carry on with that, please.
Sure. So the next one, and I realize everybody just got this, or I did email it late this afternoon, but I was working with Mayor Wright and Deputy Mayor Williams on Friday, reviewing a couple of other communities' indemnity bylaw, and sort of came up with some better wording. And also, instead of having the actual amounts of the indemnity right in the bylaw itself, the bylaw basically says this is how you get paid, but then there's a policy that's referred to that says what you are paid. So that way, every year you can review the policy and only amend it by resolution. There doesn't have to be a new bylaw every year, or, every time you decide as a council to change it. So if you guys are okay with us just going through it together, so I can kind of point out how I have changed it.
You're getting thumbs up, so
Okay.
people were,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
we lost Councillor Gardner. He's going to try and come back.
Should we we'll just give Grant a minute to try to come back in?
Yeah, he wrote in the chat, but his mic wasn't working.
Yeah, and he can see us
I think
though.
that was Grant anyways.
But yeah, he kept freezing. Oh, and he's trying to come back.
Yeah, he's
now.
trying to come back in.
If Murray and Grant are both having trouble, I'm thinking maybe there's internet trouble out there with the cold.
Yeah.
Well,
That could
Grant
be.
wasn't working last night at the fire meeting either. He had a heck of a time.
Yeah.
Tina,
So,
if mine happens to stop or quit, I'll just get you to take over my position, please.
Okay, yeah.
so basically we just start out, what the definitions are, which is in our old one. And then section 1, the mayor, deputy mayor, and all members get paid an annual compensation to do your business. And this compensation shall be set out in Town of Burden policy, council indemnities. So number 2, I did something a little different. The one community I was using was Stonewall. Stonewall uses strictly cost of living for their consideration. You guys had pointed out 2.5% is what you would maybe like. So what I did was threw in both, and you guys can change this. That was just an idea, that the indemnity rate shall be reviewed annually and may be adjusted to reflect cost of living or an increase of 2.5%, whichever is the greater amount. The cost of living allowance will be calculated by the Consumer Price Index for Manitoba and will be determined from the percentage listed from October of the previous year to October of the current year. Any thoughts on that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. And that, that these indemnities will be changed per the policy. And so the number 4 is all shall be paid for the daily per diem rate as set out in the council indemnity policy for each day exceeding 4 hours for time spent on municipal business, blah, blah, blah. And then number 5, that you shall be paid the half day per diem rate for any time up to 4 hours spent on municipal business beyond the limits of the town. And in both of those, I also put in including online conferences, not training sessions, but actual conferences.
Is my mic working now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, because a conference generally is either 4 hours or a day, right?
Right.
And then in number 6, it just says that you don't get anything else, especially if you're receiving compensation from another board, you don't get paid twice. And then so number 7 says that with permission of council, special consideration be given to compensate blah, 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 for inordinate or extra duties associated with the affairs of the town of Burden while in the town or outside the town of Burden. In those circumstances, council will provide approval of the amount of the additional remuneration by resolution of council based on the rates set out in the council indemnity policy. So that would be like if, all of a sudden there was a special project, or say you were negotiating the secure contract and either having to go out of town or spend a whole bunch of time here doing it, council may give you, or say an RB conference was here in town. So you guys would get approved to attend that RB conference in town. It's not very often we have councils or conferences here, but those would be times that you could get approval. Number 8. So, Mayor, you guys would all be paid the hourly rate as set out in the policy for any time spent attending online training sessions, providing the attendance of those training sessions has been approved by a resolution of council. So do you think that takes care of what you guys, when you guys are taking these 1 and 2 hour sessions online, this will kind of cover those. And this is something we've been doing with the likes of our rep on the RB and the watershed district, is we have been paying him indemnities to attend the conferences and the meetings, but we haven't had it in a bylaw. So I thought we should have it in there, right? So it's just that we compensate citizen members duly appointed by council to the following boards in the same manner and rates as council would be compensated in those other sections: the Assiniboine Watershed District and the Assiniboine River Basin Initiative. Now, it's like if you're on the library, if you're our citizen appointed library, they are paid to attend conferences from the library board,
Mhm.
right? And because we found this in another bylaw, we thought it was maybe good just to put it in here, that per diems shall not be paid for attendance at the following events: general public appearances, community events such as Canada Day, Remembrance Day, parades, etc., social events, attendance at political party functions or fundraisers of any type. And that way it makes it clear. So then number 10, oh, I have two number 10s. Shoot. The next section, I will change that. It was actually the same as our previous bylaw, that you get paid your reasonable living expenses up to $80 per day for your meals. If you're out of province, you get the Government of Canada rate for that province. And then also the next one refers to your mileage being at the rate being paid by the Government of Canada at that time. Something I did add to, I forgot to mention, under expenses, we did add in, includes automobile expenses or mileage, and I put including parking, that's new. And I also added in, but does not include personal entertainment expenses such as, but not limited to in-room charges, excluding meals while traveling. Because other bylaws, they actually, said, no, you can't pay for movies in your room, or, the fridge in the room, stuff like that. So we just thought by saying in-room charges, it made it other than meals. Because some people do get, they might be working in their room after, and so, yeah. Do you think, so, okay, so that's fine, that's bylaw. Now go to the policy, which would have to be approved separately. But basically what your policy says is that you shall review the indemnity bylaw at the first meeting of each term. Like, so each new council would review it. And during the 4-year term, the indemnities and per diems shall be reviewed annually and may be adjusted at the first meeting of December for the next calendar year. And they will be adjusted to reflect you the 2.5% increase or cost of living, whichever is higher, as I'd stated before. And after adoption of council each year, the adjusted indemnities shall be attached to Schedule A to this policy, and they shall be paid according to the process as set out in the bylaw. So these go hand in hand. The next attachment, Schedule A, does show, and this is where it just gets a little bit confusing, and I would like some direction on it. In our old bylaw, so for 2020, these were your rates. I showed what a 2.5% increase would be, what the 2021 rates would be for the indemnities for each of you, and then what your monthly installment would be. In our existing bylaw, you have 2 daily per diems. You have one for over 8 hours, one for 4 to 8 hours. And then you have the half day per diem, which was up to 4 hours. And then I set an hourly rate of $20, because your half day is basically based on up to 4 hours, right? So I felt $20 seemed like a reasonable amount, but do you want me to add an extra section into the bylaw that speaks to daily per diems over 8 hours while attending out of town, and daily per diems of 4 to 8 while attending to business out of town? Or do you want me just to go with a daily per diem of 200, and that doesn't matter if you are 6 hours out of town or if you're 12 hours out of town?
Which would be the easiest for you, for Faye to do, Rhonda?
Well, the easiest obviously would just be the 200, and then there wouldn't be, oh, well, it took me 4 hours to drive to Winnipeg,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There would be no, you sort of have your half day thing, and then it's, anything over a half day
Goes to a full.
goes to the full 200. But I mean, that's totally up to you guys, however you feel. In most cases, when you guys are out of town, it's the 200.
Yeah.
You know, but especially if you're going to Winnipeg for anything. And, you know, when you're attending conferences in Winnipeg, 9 times out of 10, they're truly longer than your 8 hours. So
Right.
I think most of you had tended to always put in for the 200 anyways.
Yeah, it's
You know.
always the 8.
Might be a little different when you're just, if you're driving, but even by the time you drive back and forth to Brandon,
Yeah.
you're still going to be over 8 hours.
Yeah, I think the
Okay,
8
what
hours.
is- So do we need a motion now just on policy?
We would, require 2 motions, one to pass the policy, and then a second motion if you were if you, a policy as amended, because I would take out that $150, and then a first reading of the bylaw. I think Councillor Cowan
Okay.
has been, Mayor, right?
Yes, Karen, did you have a question?
Yeah, so if we're changing from 150 to 200, wouldn't it make sense to be your half day as 100?
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
is that okay with everybody?
Easy figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can amend that. Yeah.
Then it's just
Okay,
straight
and-
100 or 200.
Yeah.
So 200 for the full day and 100 for a half day, Tara? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
And then what about that hourly rate? Then if you're going to 100,
Should be 25?
I'm thinking it should be 25 an hour, probably.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, to all
Keep it
even and flowing.
because then if you spend 2 hours, but
Yeah.
if you spend 4, yeah. Now, the only thing I did not do was I didn't actually check what the cost of living was from October to October. I thought maybe this first one, you just go with the 2.5 and then going forward, it would be one of, the higher of the 2 of them.
Okay, well, let's get a motion on the policy first.
I
Can I
think
get some? Sorry?
Councillor Cowan, I think, had her hand up.
Sorry,
I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna
Dear.
make a motion to do the first reading of the bylaw.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that, please? Councillor Wright? Any more discussion regarding that? Councillor Gardner? Did you have a question or you want to vote?
No, I was seconding, if you can hear me.
No, we already got it covered, thank you.
We hear you though.
Yeah, if there's no discussion, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. All right, now we need a motion to accept the policy, council indemnity of policy, sorry. And everybody is, I'll get that motion first and then we can discuss it. Can I get someone to make that motion, please? Council Williams, thank you. Seconder, Council Wright.
Williams, you did it.
All right, can I have some discussion on that one? Or is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none.
Oh, I have a discussion. Do we need a second motion to approve the new rates?
We would have to wait until we have our second and third reading, wouldn't we?
No, you would
Yeah.
approve you can pass the indemnity policy as presented or as amended, and that will approve your rates,
Will that,
right? Because your bylaw refers to the policy as to what your rates are going to be.
see, I didn't read it that way because in there it says that we would review the per diems and they may be adjusted, and they'd be adjusted to that. So because the policy says may be adjusted, I thought it would be another motion to actually decide if we were gonna change them for this year,
No, it's your, as soon as you accept the policy, that's your rate.
even though it says should we have and may be adjusted then in there? Is that the right word to have?
Looking at the policy.
I'm looking at the policy, because it says on number
Oh,
two.
yeah, and you don't have to change them, but I just
Right.
gave you guys a starting point.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So if we were gonna change rates for this year, we'd still have to have another discussion or another motion.
No,
Because this says we may change them. It doesn't say that we agreed to change.
no, but if you accept the changes to, like, this is your starting, because you guys wanted a 2.5% increase.
Okay.
So this was showing the 2.5%.
Okay, see, that's not how I was taking it. I was taking it that the bylaw was putting it in because I don't want to second the motion on this indemnity policy.
She withdraws her
You can
second.
second the motion and vote against it.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, true enough. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was misunderstanding the wording of the may.
This is setting your rates,
Okay,
but see, if you didn't want to change the rates, you would just leave them the same as the 2020 rate.
okay, I get you. Okay, I was reading that wrong.
And you're adopting a new policy
Okay,
that's saying go.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so this motion now, as I understand it, is to accept the indemnity policy as presented under first
Yes.
reading. Am I- no.
Well,
Okay,
this
so-
accepts- yeah, sorry. Yeah, with the new rates
With the new rates, okay.
that you guys had requested, the 2.5%.
With the schedule A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that's the motion. Now, is there any more discussion on that? Does everybody understand what we're doing? Okay, hearing no more discussion, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Grant? Carl? I can't see anybody moving. Tina, what do they look like?
Carl's hand is moving. Grant, Whitney.
Okay. Opposition, anybody oppose this motion? Councillor Cowan, Travis, where you at?
And I'm opposed, and yeah, we don't see Mr. Penner. I don't know, no, he's not frozen.
Or Mayor Wright hasn't voted yet
Yeah.
either.
I'm going to be in favor
Can you
of,
hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm sorry, you were cutting out on me there, so if you could just clarify this for me, please. We voted on the basic bylaw and now we're voting
Yes.
on the new rates.
Yes.
And we're just voting, there's no more discussion of them. These rates are set then, are they? Is that the idea?
Yes, they are. I think Murray might be freezing up. They're set in the Schedule A in the council indemnity policy. So now it's just whether you're for or against the indemnity policy to put those rates in place.
The new
Okay,
rates,
The new
so,
rates.
the Schedule A of the rates.
Yeah.
All right, so my apologies, but I didn't see Schedule A till just 2 minutes ago. I don't know if it wasn't there when I downloaded the package or what, but didn't download, so I didn't realize we had one. So are we only changing, excuse me, we're changing the base rate, but there's none of the the per diem rates are changing or anything, right?
We've changed some of the scheduling on how many hours you count and things like that. Really, amounts haven't changed a lot, but we added in the part for just by the hour for the computer parts, and then equaled out some of the other numbers, but it's mostly the monthly rate. If that
Yeah.
sounds right.
This shows an increase of 2.5% for the monthly per diems, or indemnities, I should say. And then from the discussion, I was advised to take out the over 8 hours. So it's just $200 per day, whether it's 6 hours or 12 hours. And that you're take out the daily per diem 4 to 8, just remove that And then the half day per diem would be $100. That's up to 4 hours. And the hourly rate would be $25.
So going back to our discussion at the planning and finance, there's no consideration here for attendance at committee meetings.
No,
No, I was advised by the majority that night to not put in anything for that.
that we'd consider change. Next year, we'd look at it again and think about if we wanted to change the way we were doing it.
And the increase is 2.5%.
Yes.
Okay.
So are you a for or an against?
If you're all for it, I'll vote for it. I would vote for 0 as well.
We're kind of split. So we have 2 against and 4 for at the moment. So it's your pleasure, I think.
Okay, well, I'll vote for it. We didn't take an increase last year, so I guess we'll vote for it
All
this
right.
year.
Okay.
But two.
But I am in a bit of a conflict with, at the library, we were only increasing at 0.5%.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a 5 and 2 then? Am I
Yeah.
correct?
That's what it looks
Okay.
like, yeah.
Okay, good. So that's completed now, and that was first reading, correct?
First reading for the bylaw, the policy is approved.
Right,
We're done with the
Okay.
policy. Yeah.
good. Okay, thank you. All right,
I have a little chicken and egg.
It's hard to.
let's move along to number 6. And I will turn this over to you, Tina.
Okay. CFO Maximchuk presented a list of businesses for cancellation, and I'd like to make the motion that the list for these businesses be canceled. Just to note, anything from people who are no longer doing business in Burton have been canceled, so any reason a company might not need a business license in Burton anymore. There's a bunch of different ones. So I'd like to make the motion that the attached list of business licenses be canceled.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that, please? Councillor Cowan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay. At Planning and Finance, CFO Maximchuk presented the revenue and expenditure statements for the 12 months ending December 31st for general operating and utility fund. I would like to make the motion that the revenue and expenditure statements for 12 months ending December 31st, 2020 for the Town of Burton General Operating Fund and Utility Operating Fund be approved.
And can I get a seconder for that one too, please? Councillor Gardner? Any discussion regarding that matter? Hearing none or seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor, please.
Yeah.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Do you have any more, Tina, or is that it?
I'm done.
Okay, let's move along to number 7. And this is to do with the green sand filter replacement. Rhonda, I'll let you handle that one, please.
Yes, and I apologize. This was one of our last minute additions, but I think everyone who got paper copies, I think I was able to get you out the information, but I'll just quickly go through it. We finally just did get the proposal from AWI to replace the green sand filter system, the gravity filter system in the plant. It was installed in 1997 during the plant construction. It was taken out of service in 2010 during the upgrade to the current RO reverse osmosis. In 2016, they were brought back online to help with the arsenic removal. At that time, the filter media was changed and was descaled and inspected by AWI, and we did invest some money at that time, but it was just sort of rejuvenated at that time. It hasn't been performing adequately in 2020, and during investigation, it was found that the system had failed in at least one place, and the filter media was actually escaping into the water reservoir piping more. So after consulting with Associated Engineering and the Water Services Board, it was decided to obtain a proposal from AWI to repair or replace the filter system. They have quoted $146,750 to totally replace the under drains, or $140,000 to repair. So it's kind of, I think with that slight difference, both our utilities manager and Water Services Board and our engineer are all saying we should go do the total replacement, obviously. Because there's no guarantees on just the repairs. AWI and Manitoba Water Services Board have recommended that we proceed with replacement, which Ron agrees to. While it will not be included in the current pipeline well mechanization project, Water Services Board has still agreed to cost share this at 50%, and that the total of this project, making the total of this project and the pipeline well mechanization project is still projected to fall under the original $3 million budget. So we are able to use that $3 million, like the cost sharing on it, and it's included. So if you go to, I've also included the actual proposal from AWI, but there is the budget up to date from Water Services Board. And it shows that we still, after including the full 146,000, there still is around 200,000 left in the agreement. But in that 200,000, we still have the clearing of the land for the hydro. And plus, he's only holding an estimate in there for hydro right now. So we will probably be very close by the time we get finished. At least we're still cost sharing on all. We're getting these other works done within that budget. So if council so desires, we're seeking approval to proceed with replacing the filters.
Okay. Can I get a motion on this and then we can discuss it? Councilor Wright, Councilor Cowan. Okay, now it's open to discussion.
Ooh, everybody.
Everybody. Councilor Wright, you had your hand up first.
I was just wondering, kind of like what percentage of the project overall that we're probably at, and if we foresee any more like possible scenarios that we could have that are going to cost us money.
The pipe is basically all in the ground. Just let me refer to, I'm just going to get Ron's report here. Just give me his report for council. Just give me 2 seconds, please. We're not foreseeing, it basically for extras, it's going to be around the hydro. I understand everything's going quite well with the rest of the project with the mechanization portion, and nobody sees a lot of any extras or too much use of the contingency allowance there. Ops report. He referenced the project. Okay, all of the pipe has been installed by Castle. They are working on installing valves and air releases, but experiencing some short delays due to material delivery. The tie-in at 259 in Commonwealth is planned for January 27th, but may be rescheduled due to unforeseen circumstances. And that's basically because the low pressure sewer, once they exposed everything, was a lot closer to the existing raw line. And so there has to be a bit of work done there to so that they can hook into the new raw water into the old raw water. GL Penner is continuing work on the mechanical building. Hydros to have pricing by January 29th on the power line upgrade. And it's just that decided to bring the power line in from the west along the road allowance to avoid having the line along the river as it is encroaching on the roadway and is in danger of falling into the river. This green sand, it is part of the treatment process. They had hoped, obviously, that the existing filters could be restored, but they can be restored at a cost of $140. And it does need to be done in order to get the proper treatment.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gardner, you had your hand up?
Yes, just to confirm, we're saying that we don't have to add any more money to this pipeline to get this project done with the sand filters and that? It'll come underneath the same amount of money?
It's still going to fall within the $3 million budget, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
One spot where we did save is there was an error on the contract on the length of pipe. And so right there, we had over $100,000 payment, or sorry, savings, I should say, because they misquoted on the length of the pipe. So it almost,
Thank
it
you.
helps to offset the two.
Right.
Okay, great, thank you. Councillor Penner.
Sorry. And Rhonda, I presume they've taken into consideration, even with the new raw supply, we still need this filter?
Yes, yeah, this is definitely part of the new treatment, yeah.
And in AWI's quote, there were several not included items. Do any of those affect us? I mean, we have some labor, and I don't know, are the taxes, do we pay any of the taxes?
GST will get back 100%. And we will be paying PST. If PST is applicable, usually PST is not applicable to anything that is treating water.
Okay, thank
That
you.
makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Councillor Cowan.
So right now our motion is to do option one for the full amount or for the 109? Or for the, are we including labor in this motion?
That's what they're asking for. Yes, is 146 is what they're asking for. This project this work probably won't start until mid-May because it's 2 weeks from approval to get the design. And then it's at least 12 weeks for equipment to arrive. So we were kind of looking at whether we could use our own in-house staff, but come middle of May, probably not a time that we'll have a lot of extra help around. And there was also the concerns of what, they're sitting there and what happens if our two guys get sick or something. I mean, then it's on us, right?
So most of the work will be done by people from out of province, Rhonda?
It will be done by, AWI. They'll be coming in, but it is an essential service, like an essential construction.
Okay.
I have
All right.
a question, Mr. Mayor, I have a question. I don't think you can
Yes,
see
go
my
ahead,
hand very well. Okay, my question is is there any gas tax money going into any of the water this $3 million right now? Like, are we
Not
using?
into this 3 million.
If we did happen to go over budget on this 3 million, is this a project gas tax money can go into?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've used some gas tax for the, if you recall, no, for the exploration for the water,
Okay, yeah.
all of that, remember our offset of the 300,000
Yeah.
and the design.
So if something did happen to change and we went over our budget, it is something that we could
Yeah.
use towards. Okay.
Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the motion that's in place?
Yeah,
Opposed?
that's everybody.
Carried. Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.
Okay, I guess we'll move along to number 8, our 2021 census. And Rhonda, I'll handle that one to you too, please.
We received an email from Stats Canada encouraging council to, first of all, help for them in advertising that the census is going to occur this year, but also encouraging our citizens to complete the census because of the direct impact it has on how they develop, plan any programs and funding for our community. You know, for anything such as schools, daycare, family services, housing, emergency services, road, public transportation, and skills training. So that's why it is so vital for our community. Whenever we get those large grants from the province, that is what our numbers are always based on, a per capita. So if you're not counted, we don't get any money for you. So that was why they asked that council consider the resolution that the council of the town of Virden supports the 2021 census and encourages all residents to complete their census questionnaire online at www.census.gc.ca, as accurate and complete census data supports programs and services that benefit our community.
Now, is this something that we need to put in a motion there? Or?
That was the motion.
Yeah, I would make that motion that we
Okay.
follow the motion that we received from them and try to encourage people to take part in the census.
Okay, so we don't need a seconder. You're kind of doing that then?
No, we need a seconder.
Seconder, Councillor Gardner had his hand up there, so we'll grab him. Any more discussion? Is this something we should put in the paper and let people know it's coming in the future?
Yeah, you betcha. Yes.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion on this? Everybody understands? Carl, you did this one time, so you'll have an insight on the ropes here. Anyway, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Number 9, Prairie West. I believe there's a budget draft here that you all should have. Rhonda, I'll let you handle this one, please.
Thank you. It has been, maybe does someone from Prairie West wish to speak to this?
Pardon, sorry?
I wondered if one of our Prairie West representatives wished to speak to it.
Yes, go ahead, Whit. Or Tara, whatever.
Basically, we were reviewing the Prairie West budget, and we actually have a pretty good surplus from previous years that we've carried over. So we were looking at reducing the municipal grants that both the town of Virden and RM of Wallace pay into this program or this agreement every year. So we came forward and we asked you for a resolution for this agreement. I mean, stop me if I'm wrong in any place here. but and in that it had the 2021 rates already set out for us. So when we are looking at reducing the contributions from the town and the RM, we're looking at a reduction of $10,000 each. We just need to, I want to say, make a resolution to amend this agreement.
Now, is that for a 1-year period?
Yes, so we've already approved this before based on the rates that we would put in, $39,864, and we are saying now that we'd like to only put in $29,864 for a $10,000 savings to our budget.
Okay, so you're making that motion. I get someone to second that, please. Councillor Cowan. Okay, any more discussion on this, folks? Now, has this been taken to the RM as well, Tara? Yeah, okay. And they're in favor of the $10,000 subtraction as well?
Don't know yet.
Okay. Okay, any other questions? Tina, do you have any questions on this one?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, if everybody's happy, we have a motion on the floor, and that's $10,000 that I'm sure Rhonda can put into something else for the town. So I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Yeah, you got everybody.
And okay, carried. Thank you. All right, number 10. Crows and nuisance bird appointments. Now we have Mr. Cousins, and I'll let Rhonda handle this one, please.
Yes, we have our crow and nuisance bird policy procedure. And as part of it, council authorizes up to 4 people a year to just discharge firearms in the town only for the control of crows and other birds which may be deemed to be a nuisance, which are basically pigeons. So it's been brought forward that we appoint Morris Cornell, Rodney Stewart, Adam Gonti, and Albert Cousins for 2021. And there's a resolution there for you folks to consider.
Okay, can I get someone to make that motion, please? We accept those 4 people as presented by Rhonda. Councillor Gardner, seconder, please. Councillor Wright, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. All right, number 11, the appointment of auditors for 2020. And Rhonda again, please.
As we're required to appoint our auditors by resolution. So I'm recommending that we appoint MNP LLP as the auditors for 2020.
Okay, can I get someone to make that a motion, please? Councillor Wright, Councillor Gardner. Any discussion? Councillor Penner.
I just have a question. Does this ever go out for gender or anything? Or I know they've done it for many years.
We haven't for a few years, and primarily because of our, well, one of the reasons is because we were behind. And also the landfill always seems to cause a lot of grief when we get a new auditor. But they were in the past, obviously, they were the successful.
Any other questions? Carl, you've got your mic on. Did you have a question?
No, I had one before, but
I missed you?
yeah, that's all right.
I'm sorry. Just next time, just swear at me. I'll hear you then. Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thank you. Okay, number 12, the Southwest Expo. If you want to speak on that one, Rhonda, please.
Yeah, sure. The Southwest Expo is on February 10th, I believe. Yes, February 10th, and it will be an online expo this year. For our sponsorship, I believe we do get 2 free registrants. But there is and then there's a cost of $20 per person, whoever else might like to attend. Just so you're aware, the keynote is Doug Griffiths and Heather Thompson, our 13 Ways people. But there is, other, coming up with the winning strategy for 2021, adapting to change, and then they have some breakout sessions. So I just didn't know if council would wish for any more than the 2 free sponsored participants to attend, or if there are more members of council would like to attend.
Okay, anybody have any question, or Councillor Gardner?
Yes, I'd like to let my name stand for that, please.
Okay, anyone else? Councillor Cowan.
Yeah, I would like to attend as well, but I see Mr. Penner has his hand up too. So I guess I'd make a motion to send any member of council as per policy if they want to attend.
Okay, Councillor Penner, will that work in with what you want to say?
Well, actually, no, I wanted to know if there was just an option, just take in the keynote address.
I
Doug
think
Griffiths.
probably, because that's, you just sign in about then. Right?
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind taking that in, but if there's a cost to it, I can skip it.
Yeah.
I would second Councillor Cowan's member of council who wants to attend policy.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and a seconder. Can I have any more discussion? If anybody has any other, questions? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Maybe that's something, Tina or Rhonda, we could pass on to Pearl to have in place within the next few days, so we get an idea what's happening.
You betcha.
Okay, thank you, Derek. All right, number 13, opening of town-owned facilities. Rhonda, please.
Yes, I wanted to just bring this up and discuss it so that everybody's clear on, including the public, on the new public health orders. Basically, under the new public health orders, retail is allowed to open under 25% capacity, but there has been no allowance given to libraries, art galleries, or recreation facilities. So our Arts Council, because they do have a retail portion, are wondering about permission to open their retail portion for on appointment basis only, which does make sense because then they can control and make sure that nobody accesses the art gallery portion of it. I mean, you do have to walk through it, but you're not going for art gallery. And I think we in the town office, perhaps starting would feel okay about opening to the public, but after next week. And the reason I'm saying after next week is we found out from Manitoba Hydro that they're actually shutting us down for a day. It was supposed to be this Thursday. We just found out. to replace the hydro pole and the transformer behind our building, because I guess it's ready due to be changed out. But they, their work schedule got changed today, so they're looking at coming one day next week. We're not sure which day it is, and we will have absolutely no power. So we're going to be really shut down because we can't even access our server from remotely because it won't have any power to it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of in a pickle. And our phone lines will be on a battery backup that we're hoping will last for most of the power outage, so that at least if anybody calls, they will get the answering machine. But we will be putting it out on Facebook, website, everywhere we can, you know, that what the emergency on-call number is, and also to phone one of our other phones if it's an administrative or public works type emergency.
Mhm.
So we will get that out there. But I just thought if we say, oh, we're open next week and then we have to close for a day, well, people are going to be saying, are they open? Are they closed? What are they doing? So I didn't want, so like I said, because you guys close everything by resolution, if you wish to allow the Arts Council to open their retail portion on appointment basis only and open the town office, I would say not till February 8th, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. Can I get a motion then to open the Arts Council as per Rhonda's description? Councillor Cowan, seconder, please. Councillor Gardner, thank you. Any more discussion?
So that's the Arts Council for
I
Wellness
don't-
and the town office for February 8th?
Yes.
I believe
Councillor
that
Gardner?
was it was Mr. Carl that voted for the
Oh,
second,
sorry.
not me.
Sorry. Okay, Carl, sorry. Okay, so I'll call for the question, or is there any more discussion on this? Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Okay. Let's do our committee reports. And we'll start off with Councillor Gardner.
Okay, had a fairly busy week last week. Since the last council meeting, I had a couple online courses that we did, the Manitoba Planning Conference on the 19th, along with Healthy Communities, our age-friendly webinar as well. On the 20th, I had the booth committee meeting and preliminary design for the HTFC. On the 21st, I went back and we did more of the Manitoba Planning Conference, and also on the 22nd was the Planning Conference. Last night had Fireboard, and it looks like to the start of a busy week again.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cowan.
I had a Prairie West meeting last week and a fire board meeting on Monday.
Great, thank you. Councillor Wright.
I had a Prairie West meeting and we're just going over programming for 2021, and budget was the talks, as you saw. We also are stressing and working towards doing more grant opportunities through that organization for 2021. So if organizations need to connect or need help with grants, finding them, where to go, we're going to point them in Prairie West direction. She and her staff there can help them hopefully get some money for our community. I went to 2 days of the planning conference. I couldn't go to all 3 because of a work commitment. Had some really good stuff there. Some interesting stuff about the city of Winnipeg and how COVID's affected it. And it was kind of interesting to think that we probably have some of the same results happening here, just on a smaller scale. So that was, I took that presentation as really interesting, and just some different ideas of how to do infill and stuff like that. Stuff I hadn't considered because I am not super a part of the construction world. So it was interesting presentations. And then I had a Trans-Canada West planning meeting. Same thing, kind of going over budget. I missed a Verdon Employment Skills Center meeting, but they are having another one tomorrow that I will be going to.
Great, thank you. Councillor Penner.
Yeah, I had the planning conference, but I was only able to take in part of Thursday and not Friday, so you won't be getting billed from me. And library budget meeting last night, and that's about it.
Great, thank you. And Councillor Carl. I can't hear Councillor Carl.
I think he's having mic trouble.
Okay,
Just a minute,
we'll
I
come
can
back.
help him. I might be able to help him.
Okay.
There
There we go.
Hear that?
we
Yeah,
go.
we hear you.
Okay, I went to 3 of the sessions on the AM&M Education Conference, and I found it very interesting. Whitney talked about the infill, and when they talked about infill, they talked about very narrow strips of land that they recovered and used for other things, much like our 7th Avenue burnt out section, where it just sits desolate. And then I attended a couple of other sessions that I found very interesting, and I'd like to maybe make a presentation later on this.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Councillor Williams.
Okay, I had the planning and finance meeting as well. On Friday, I met with Murray and Rhonda about some upcoming things. I attended the 3.5 days of the planning conference as well. I really liked their main speaker, Nolan Kraus, I think his name was, talked about the, he's from Alberta, and he talked about how the good and bad things about how Winnipeg is trying to change how the planning goes for their area, and how Calgary and Edmonton did it in really different ways. And he'd say, like, they did this good, they did this bad, they did good. Like, it was a lot of information, but it was really interesting. And I listened to one that 2 women from one of the places did on public engagement during COVID and online and all that kind of stuff. And the one in charge of the program, who was a technical person, actually lost her internet. So she went out, and the other one wasn't. So it's very interesting that he's been the people that are doing the public engagement. It's their thing. If your internet goes out or something goes bad, you're still just as messed up as anybody else would be, right? Like, it wasn't what they planned, but it's good to see that anybody can have trouble with it. I had a Trans-Canada West meeting as well, and I've been working with Kelsey Patterson from our office on the orchard naming things. We've been talking to Fort Lavance, the schools, all that kind of stuff. And next council, I'm going to have a package for everybody on that, so we can get it out and get that hopefully done by springtime. And that's it.
Great, thank you very much. Rhonda, please.
Oh, thank you. We've had 2 calls with municipal relations. Also, we've had at least 2 meetings, one site meeting, then another meeting to discuss the water line project. The second meeting was primarily about the hydro, which I discussed at Planning and Finance. We also Parks and Recs manager Howard and foreman Ben Eaton and myself met online with Mac Tower to discuss the issues with the cooling tower at the arena. And they are going to be coming on site on Thursday at around 1:30 to go through the tower. And we're going to be sitting down to discuss that and the warranty problem with the liner and how the liner is starting to pull away. I also attended the part of the boost meeting and the HTFC initial presentation on the revitalization project. And if any of you aren't signed up and wish to be signed up, I'm thinking you could still do so for tomorrow night. It's very interesting and it's very exciting. Going to be great things for a community. We had Mayor Wright and Deputy Mayor Williams and myself did meet on Friday and then again on Monday to discuss, like I said, the bylaws and some other matters. We also met with staff on Monday to discuss possible items that we could make grant applications for to the Building Sustainable Communities Fund, because there are a few projects there. TransCanada West, of course, last night, and today I also had a quick call with our lawyer to discuss the one legal matter we're still dealing with in order to get that organized and back going. And it's going to be, as Council Gardner said, another busy week.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. For myself, our pipeline meeting we had on the 15th, the 19th, age-friendly plus plan and finance, 20th, our meeting with HTFC, 21st, Red River Basin meeting. That was a 9 to 4 meeting. I was in and out of that one. It's interesting on what North Dakota is doing to put in, I can't remember the word or what they call it, but basically dams and stuff to control the flood of water going towards Winnipeg. And that will affect some of the Souris River, the Assiniboine, and different ones in a backup situation. Meetings with Rhonda and Deputy Mayor Tina. Last night, fire board meeting and some voice meetings with our MLA and different things. But anyway, it was a busy week, and this week it started off well. So it'll make the time go by fast, and we won't have to worry about thinking about COVID. And what I was thinking too, Councillor Wright, thank you for that $10,000 that we're going to get. Maybe that can go towards a gen set for the office, so we don't have to have power outages. Anyway, just a thought. Okay, thank you very much. There's no notice of motions, and we'll go to our November session. Unless there's anything else anybody wanted to talk about, Rhonda, we'll get you to hit not to record, and I'll get somebody to make the motion that we go into in camera, please. Councillor Wright, Councillor Gardner, all in favor? Carry.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're back. Maybe I should wait a bit.
Adjourn your camera.
No, you're good. It's recording, so we just need to adjourn in camera.
We're back into in camera. Was there anything that we want, or out of camera, sorry?
I'll make a motion that we come out of in camera.
Okay, can I have a seconder? Councillor Wright. All in favor? Carried, thank you. And from in camera, we have what?
Oh, I shut my computer.
The first thing would be to approve the request of Matthew. Oh, just let me open up the request one more time. Approve the request from Matthew and Jen Kipwell regarding their property at the Southeast 341026, as per the recommendations of Chief Yoakum and Development Officer Nixon. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I get someone to make that motion? Councillor Wright, seconder, Councillor Cowan. Any discussion on this matter? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor? Carried, thank you.
I'm sorry, who made that?
That motion was Wright and
Councillor Wright and
Cowan.
Councillor
Okay,
Cowan.
thank you.
Okay, Rhonda was writing and she just missed the people.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and the other one would be 16.2, I believe.
And I think this, I don't know if this needs to be a motion for me to make or not, that we have Rhonda do up a letter about the discussion, a letter to be sent to our officials on how we could begin to open our rec facility. Some of the ideas that we have to get it open to the public or things that we could maybe try. Like to get the walking track open, to maybe get some school kids on the ice to get something going. I don't
Okay,
know if we need a motion for that, or we just want Rhonda to do up a letter and send it out for us to look at, and we could make a motion after, like at the next meeting.
yeah, we could do that.
So it's basically to work with health and sports for the opening of the rec facility for use of the walking track and school. Okay, I'll think about it.
We can do up something to support hockey, but our main objective is to support the walking track and the involvement of the children from the Fort Boss School Division and hockey in general.
Just recreation, mental health, getting people moving. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, and then we can take it to community services or whatever, and we can make a motion there and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else tonight? If
No.
not,
I
pardon?
was wondering if Councillor Cowan and Murray, if you guys could just stay on after so we can just set a meeting time.
Yep. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'll call for a motion to adjourn for the evening, please. Councillor Wright. Carl. Thanks, Carl. All in favor? Carried. Thank you all very much for tonight. Stay warm.